you, Barbara. So, good afternoon, everyone. Please do remember that we are recording those meetings so that other people can watch them later on. If you do not want your name or face to appear, it's easy to remove the face and the names, okay? And we are going to be continuing with the book of Joanna de Angelis, Alert is the book that we are studying. And I'm going to share the screen here with you. Okay, so we are studying today already lesson number 6. So which means it's been 6 weeks we have been studying this book from Joanna de Angelis, and I don't know about you, but myself, each time I get into one of those lessons, I like it more and more, and I think it's very, very good for us to to talk about topics that are so current in our day-to-day lives. So today we have a topic that is quite hard for all of us. As always, Joanna de Angelis brings something that touches us in sensitive points. But today she's going to talk about, people that are around us and that many times we call them the problematic souls. Again, I brought the text in Portuguese and in English to facilitate for those who perhaps to read the text in English, in Portuguese. Joana de Angelis has a very um, elegant and difficult way of writing, and sometimes, be it in the original or in the English form, it can become quite challenging. So that's why we are doing that to facilitate this to others. So we will start then. The problematic person that is close to you is not unknown to you. The difficult child that demands your integral dedication does not find themselves by your side for the first time. The reticent senior that seems to you like a continuous nightmare, exhausting your strength, is not a fortuitous encounter in your progress. The relative of any relationship who creates trials in your life are not the result of chance. They are leading you to enjoy the painful coexistence. They are all provided by your spiritual past. Yes, they fell, and they still resent the moral fall. And today they are trying to rescue the grievous injunction. But you are as well. When someone falls, there are always preeminent and predisposing factors that induce and lead them to the abyss. Naturally hidden, the one who caused the misfortune remains unknown to the world. However, they do not hide from either the conscience or the supreme laws. They are reborn in different circumstances and times in the large human family. Nonetheless, they find themselves either in the consanguinity of their physical kin or to the spiritual one, taking the path of restoration and indispensable compensations. So, anyone would like to say something before I start saying something? Huh? No one?
My summary of this is we've been there before and we're back. And anything that happens is a result of what we've done in the past. Very simply, we are responsible.
Yeah, it's a very good way of putting it, because it actually summarizes everything. Let's see if there is someone else that would like to say something before I go and explain a little more. Like I said, it's not something easy for us to read, because again, we always prefer not to take any responsibility on our actions. So the person, like the problematic souls, like Joanna de Angelis calls here, uh, we always think that it was like a bad luck for us that they are in our lives. And and in this way, we we don't accept that somehow we have any kind of responsibility for the group of people that shares life with us. It's always like, I was unlucky. Why did I have to have this kind of parents, or spouses, or siblings, or children, or companions? So we are always complaining, in the sense that we do believe that it's not our responsibility, and that we draw the smallest piece of of the draw, right? And here, Joanna de Angelis is from the first statement. She says the problematic person that is close to you is not unknown to you. So it is not someone that came to our lives by chance, and that somehow, because of it, we can just think about ridding ourselves of this person. So then she gives a lot of different situations: being a child that demands a lot of attention, a senior that is a very difficult in terms of relationship, everything that we have. But she says that we always have a responsibility towards that somehow we are always involved in the process that led that person to be that difficult, or to be still so unenlightened in a way. Uh, and because of that, we cannot complain. So I cannot complain if I had a difficult parent. I cannot complain if somehow, I have a difficult life because my siblings were problematic. I cannot complain. And sometimes, I think we should even be grateful, because we are not the ones that are presenting the most difficult aspect in that relationship. Okay, sometimes we complain because we have an impaired parent, or children, or siblings, because somehow they impacted our lives. But we could say, thank God it's not me. Life is hard enough having to live in the same household with the situation. But if I were the one in that situation, it could be much worse. But what Joanna is firmly stating here, we are not in this situation by chance. And we have to be thinking about it, understanding all this, the hidden factors that so far we don't have access, but it doesn't mean that is injustice from God. Okay, let me see here, Orlando. What about the psychological aspect in our life? How do we separate our mental psychology from her point of view? Uh, well, the point of view that she's presenting here is that everything that is happening in our lives is there because it's in complete and total relation to our needs and to our actions. Because here we have to think about two things. We have to think about actions, always remembering that for actions there are reactions. And we have to think about need. Need in which sense? In the sense that we are using reincarnation to grow. And if I'm using reincarnation to grow, what are the lessons that I need to have in my life that will propitiate this growth, this personal growth? What are the things that are hindering my progress? What sort of psychological or mental attitude I find, or mental outlook that I find myself because of the actions that I have committed in previous lives that has not been working in my favor, even leading me to sabotage my future happiness. Because you see, this is another thing. When we, as guilt spirits that we are, and here there is no exception, okay? It's a matter of more or less of accepting it, of working on it, and trying to rid of it. For some, for us that are already in this path of acknowledging, accepting, understanding, and not delaying in the guilt, but in doing something positive, some proactive action to rid ourselves from that, we will understand that many times, because of guilt, people will sabotage their happiness. And then if you ask them, they will say, but I don't know anything about it. I have no guilt. No, maybe consciously you are presenting no guilt, but subconsciously, because of previous actions that you cannot recall while in your state of vigilance, so to say, when you are awake in the material body, you may not have access to that, but it doesn't mean that it represents less impact in your mental way, state of being, and psychological state of being, like Orlando just pointed out here. So this is another thing that we have to think about and to bring to us, especially when we are facing those kinds of situations that we wish it could be different. Comments, questions? Okay, all good? Okay, let's read a little bit more then. Do not rebel against the imposition of pain, regardless of how it is presented to you. Here is the companion who becomes a harsh adversary. There is the rebellious child who now is the carrier of an arduous disease. Nearby is the relative victimized by the thoracic arteriosclerosis. A bit ahead is someone dominated by insanity and who arrives in the economy of your life, impoverishing your coffers of or multiple resources. moments arise that you wish for them to depart earth so that you may rest. Instants in which a feeling of death animosity whispers to you the longing of seeing yourself freed from them. Joyous mistake. There is only real freedom when the debt is redeemed. Physical distance does not constitute psychic impediment. Material absence does not express impossibility of exchange. The spirit is the life, and as long as love does not mitigate the pains and does not file the edges, file the edges of difficulty, the problem proceeds unaltered. I just have a question here in terms of the translation. The arteriosclerosis, it's not thoracic, right? Philip, arteriosclerosis, I think, by arterios. Sorry,
I don't know.
go ahead, Philip. No, arteriosclerosis is more related to arteries. I don't know how this best.
I think it's tormentoso. In Português, está tormentosa. I think it was probably a mistake.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Let me see. Tormentos. It's not. How do I say it? Tormenting, perhaps.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Tormenting. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, hi, Joanna de Angelis. Why do you have to talk to us like that? You know, be so realistic, right? I guess all of us have traveled this path of thinking, I don't know, maybe, you know, send them away. It doesn't need to be to the realm of the spirits, but maybe to the other side of the planet, where communication can be so harder. But here's what Joanna de Angelis is saying. You know, this is a commitment that we made before reincarnation. And it is going to be over when it's time to be over, but it's only going to be time to be over when we have redeemed ourselves, especially through the exercise of love. So instead of delaying our progress, postponing the possibility of recuperation for both spirits, we should just dive in and try to resolve as much as we can. Again, last week we were talking about, also difficult relationships, the brethren, right, the brotherhood, and we several times mentioned that we can only do what is related to us. We cannot impose behaviors on others. But we cannot deny that others' behaviors reflect our behavior as well. Even for someone that is super harsh, if you start ignoring the harshness, the how much they're being rude with us, and you start treating them well, it will come to a point that it's going to resonate on them. They may not become super nice, but they may not be that nasty, according to their possibilities. So we see that in this sense, we are much more powerful than we think. remember, I many years ago, I used it to give an example that I lived. I guess maybe many of you haven't heard about it because it's been a while, I think, that I last mentioned this. In the spiritual center that I work in Brazil, during a time, one of my functions was to open the door for the people that were going into the room of passes to come in. So I would open, people would come, receive their passes, they would leave, I would open the door again, they would leave and go home. So that was my function. So as you can see, I started from the bottom. I was the porter. The porter of the passes room. And there was one particular lady that every time she arrived, I could see so much bitterness in her. Because you see, when you're there and someone gently, kindly opens the door for you, greeting you with a smile, or saying you're welcome, something like that, many of them would, at least nod, send a smile, say something. She would always be like, you know, bitter, bitter, bitter. So I don't know why I decided to go through an experiment. Said, you know what? Now, every time that she arrives, and she was really faithful, she would not miss it, okay? As far as I remember. So that was something that I could do. Now I had my guinea pig for my experience. And so I decided that every time that I would look at her, I would send so much love to her. I would envelop her with so much, kind emotions, loving emotions, and see what happened. And so I start doing that. Every time that she arrived, I look at her while she was receiving passes. I was imagining her enveloped by this cloud of gratitude, of breaking down the bitterness in her. I don't know, and that is the point. Now I've never thought about it. Just now, if it was actually my doing, probably not. Now thinking back, but after I don't know, I don't remember how long, a month, 2 months. When I opened the door, she smiled at me and she said, "Good night, hello," something like this. She greeted me. And from that day on, she was so much better, you know. Again, now thinking better, of course, she was there every week receiving passes, learning the lessons. But of course, it was my thinking that made her better, right? Yeah. Anyway, but I'm sure this helped as well. So what I'm trying to say here is that we have much more impact on others than we imagine. We are much more powerful in dictating the kind of relationship we are going to have with someone than we imagine. Again, we cannot go beyond their possibilities, but at least we can contribute not to aggravate things. And in not aggravating, in accepting, in understanding, our burden is going to be much lighter. And at the end of the day, this is really what matters, right? Comments, question?
Mm.
Yeah, Philip, go ahead. No, right?
It just reminds me of my past and how much I'm responsible.
Well, I think everyone is here is kind of, introspective in a way, thinking about it. How much we could have done better.
Mm.
but you see, this is the beauty of it. Like once Chico Xavier said, what is in the past I cannot change, but what it is today, what is going to become tomorrow. And remember the workers of the last hour. It doesn't matter if we started at the first hour of our lives, but at least in the last hour of our lives, we are doing something, and we are, trying to be able to receive the payment for the day. So the reward in terms of achieving the lessons that we did not achieve earlier. So I think this is very consoling and give us a lot of hope, because we can think about how much we could have prevented the aggravation that we lived in our lives in the past. But now it's done, and I can only think about today and tomorrow, right? And then today and tomorrow, it's in my control, and I can change that, even in my reminiscences about the past. Accepting, forgiving, understanding that we were ignorant to this knowledge, to this kind of understanding. And I mean, we did better with what we had at our disposal at the time. But now we have something different. Now we have understanding. And now we can uh, make, how do I say, make good terms with the past? How do I say, what is the expression?
Make amends with the past?
Not exactly make amends, or be in good terms with the past.
In good terms, yeah.
Yeah, be in good terms with the past, thinking, okay, I had a family member that was a difficult one, still is. Okay, now I understand. Now I understand that there is a connection, that it's not by chance, that I have a share of responsibility, at least in terms of accepting this difficult spirit to help this spirit in the process of enlightenment. If we do not have a direct, let's say, responsibility, at least we will have a responsibility of accepting the commitment to help someone. You see, so there is always that. And this is one thing that is important for us to think about. Not necessarily the difficult relative that is living with you today is there because of something that you directly did to them. It could have been to somebody else, and now you have the chance to say, to make amends, to pay back through a different soul. So you see, that spirit that you harmed so much, I cannot make that spirit go back, retrograde, just because you need to make amends. The spirit is doing very well, thank you very much, in a happy word already. So we're not going to bring the spirit back, what, to suffer something the spirit does not deserve, just for you to be able to pay back to this spirit. Because you see, the debt, very much like when we use that here in terms of the justice, the tribunal of justice, the court of justice, is a debt that we have to society. To society in this case, meaning to the universe. So that spirit is doing very well, but I still have a debt in relation to a certain particular situation. And there is a spirit over there that could be, the blessing in your life for you to rid yourself from this guilt and to make amends with the law. You see, because sometimes we just think that it's just this chain of I do bad to my brother, and then next incarnation he do bad to me, and then no, it's not just that. We have other people that perhaps were not as much important in our lives in the past, and that now can be the instrument of this, growth for both parties. Because in this sense, it's going to be representing growth for both parties, okay? Any other commenting or? Okay, tortuous. Okay, let me put here tortuous. Tortuous. Let me just check here. Otherwise, I think it's the other one is better. I don't know. I'll look at it. Okay, last part. Brace yourself on love and suffer with patience. Endure the problem soul that joins you, and do not perish in the ideals of assisting and proceeding. Love while rescuing. A day will rise, luminous, in which the shadows that obstruct the clear vision of life will be overcome, and you will understand the grandiosity of your gesture and the happiness of your affection towards all. A problem takes the dimension that it is given, but love, which covers a multitude of sins, turn towards goodness, resolves all problems and difficulties, and gives everlasting vibration to the peace that you seek. So, as always, the last paragraph, Joanna de Angelis is teaching us how to deal with that. So, brace yourself with love and endure what you have to endure with patience. There is no trouble that will last forever. It may feel that it's lasting too much, but not necessarily. Okay? And there is no other way than to change our mindset. Always understanding that the more we dedicate to this, the more we resign, we accept, and we understand that it's not by chance that all of this is happening to us, the faster we will find a problem, a solution to those problems. And I love this phrase from Jesus: love covers a multitude of sins. So that is the only recipe. Is it easy to put in practice? Absolutely not. In our level of involvement, we are talking about emotions that are very much unknown to us. Selfless love, dedicated love. We know love passion, we know love possession, but love giving, love patient, those kind of representations, or actually the actual meaning of love, we don't know. And that's why, although the word is so familiar to us, it's such a small word, it is still so hard for us to put in practice, because we don't know how to do it. We are not used to how to do it. So that's why sometimes we always say, start, even if it comes from pity, it comes from compassion, it comes from duty. So this is where we have to start exercising this grandiose word, love, until actually one day we will feel something within ourselves that is so unfamiliar, and we will start imagining that it's something similar to what we are trying to attain, which is the love as God feels for us. Okay. There is one phrase from the the Broadway show actually is from Victor Hugo, the Les Miserables, that he says, and in one of the songs, to love another person is to see the face of God. But then he's talking about, the love like we are talking about here, right? This is the way when we truly love another person, and it has nothing to do with passion, possession, all this more material related emotions. This is when we actually feel, we see the presence, the presence of God. So this is what she's telling us here. It's not going to help just complaining. It's not going to help praying to God to remove those people from us. That's why, in the book of prayers, one of the prayers that we have in the Gospel according to Spiritism is to give us strength, to give us courage to endure what we have to endure. And so this is the way for us to do. Not only, I would say, here is, of course, is specifically talking about problematic souls, but I think with all kinds of problems that we will face in our lives, problematic situations. If there is no way for us to go through a different path, we have to find ways of going through this path without that much trouble burdening us. Okay, if the path is rough, you put you instead of going in flip-flops, you use sneakers, right? It's going to make it easy. There is too much sun, put a hat. It's raining, open an umbrella. And this is what, in another message, when Emmanuel was talking to Chico, he kind of hints, all this knowledge that we learn from Spiritism represents all this protection. The umbrella in rainy days, the hat in sunny days, the sturdy shoes in rough, more stony path. All of this represents, tools to us that will make us go through the path we have to go, but having structure, having a spiritual strength to deal with all that and to overcome all that. Comments, questions? Next week is techniques of life, but let's see if you have any more comment or question about it today. No?
Yes.
Hey, Ale.
I mean, I don't know if everybody's going through the same, but I'm just spinning here in my head because it is just so clear, but at the same time so hard to practice. And I know we need to take, day by day and deal with one challenge at the time. But still, there are some people that is so hard. And if you think about, you might be the one that is the difficult person. I might be the difficult one. So when I'm just spinning here and, hearing you reading, and it's so clear. It's so clear. Just love. Give love. Accept. accept what you're going through, accept that whatever is happening in your life is for your benefit. But it's so difficult.
Ale, I don't know if that would help you or not, but I have a strategy that I developed a few years ago. It's very childish, very much, but it helped me a lot. Um, I I think it's about perspective. So I've I was observing and noticing that most of us we want to help, right? We look at back and we look at Paul and all these wonderful disciples, and they do things for Christ, and we want to do something, but at the same time we cannot even deal with our own problems. So I decided to, and as I worked as a nanny for many years, and I realized that when you have to ask something for a child, if you go to that child and instead of asking the child to do something, you give that as a special task because only him or her can do that because you trust him or her so much to do that. And the child feels like they're so important and they can do that. So I started to act like that with myself. Instead of thinking that those challenges are happening, those people are happening because I have to expiate or to pay for something, or because they're this or that, or I am this or that, I changed the way I saw, and I was thinking, wow, that is, look what who Jesus put in my life for me to give an example or to help. And I feel like I'm this such an important person. And especially when I go to places that are challenging and I have to do things like when we go to, I don't know, social security or places that everyone is complaining and they're going to be difficulties, I think, wow, I'm here like Chico Xavier, going to places like that. And I go with that smile, talking to everyone, as Susana said, you give us a smile and you think the person changed because of you. Perhaps it helped a lot. Perhaps it was. You don't know. But then you start, instead of thinking on that person as a challenge for you, it's a mission for you. It is just a word and a mindset, but for me helped a lot. So I think about the people around me as a mission for me. And mind you, it did help. Don't know if it could help for you, but it did. Just treating myself as a child that I know that I am in deep inside.
Beautiful.
Well, I understand that the most difficult challenges and situations are given to the ones that are strong enough to handle. But sometimes we just needed a break. You know, it's one after the other. It's nonstop. And yeah, great, I'm strong. Yeah, I can take it. Yeah, but you know, it gets to a point of like, okay, now I need a break, just a small one, and then I can continue again and getting all this. And I think the strategy you create is wonderful. And again, I understand in my head very clear. Practicing is the problem.
Yeah, that's the struggle we are all in, you know. Um, uh, and I mean, this is not a consolation. This is not, you know, actually, we should all be ashamed together. I'm not saying that because, you know, misery loves company. No, don't understand me wrong. I'm saying, no, this is the path we have to go. But as we have been repeating many times, you know, is the effort that counts, and the effort is painful. I know, I know, I live that as well, you know. And I think it's wonderful that you brought about even the idea that we may be the ones, you know, the sand on the shoes of somebody else. I mean, we are complaining of the others, but we do not think about, you know, how much others perhaps have that they complain about ourselves. So, so yeah, I mean, the only thing we can do, Ali, is just going forward, you know, just moving forward, just do the best that we can. We normally say as well, some people will, with some people it's going to be easier than with others. So let's not be that ambitious or pretentious, imagining that we are going to solve our relationship problems, I mean, in a month or during the pandemic or something like this, you know, because we're not. We are talking about millennia of troubles that we have been creating. So, but the thing is, just go forward, just go forward, and do not delay in guilt. That is not going to be constructive. Just, you know, of course, we have to assess things and understand that we should have done better. But after that, just move forward, just go ahead, because otherwise we are going to bury ourselves in negative emotions that will not give us the strength to do what we have to do. But yeah, it's really hard, it's really challenging, and um, we're doing what we can, right? Anyone else? Okay, so maybe we can finish now. And Tiago, could you do the prayer for us? The final prayer?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Sorry if it's a little loud at some point if you hear someone else talking.
Yeah, no
COVID
problem.
syndrome.
Yeah, I know.
Let us now calm ourselves and be thankful of the teachings that we heard here today. Moving forward and accepting is a wonderful advice. It's good to assess and not dwell on what has happened in the past. Let us take that as a lesson and strength and to move forward to dealing with people and situations in our lives that it will benefit our progress. We thank the good spirits, the mentors, and we hope and we are thankful to be here united again next week. And may the people that could not come be welcome and feel welcome next week as well. May theirs and our light shine through and help us through the week. So be it.